Getting Deven Choksey on the show as well. Thanks a lot, Deven, for joining in. Good morning. Value retailers, we've got the update from Avenue Supermarts, we've got the update from V-Mart, we've got the update from, players like bazaar-style retail as well. And the consumer sentiment, by and large, looks like it is improving, especially on the staples and beyond metros space. Would you bet on any of these players right now?
Yeah, Mangalam, good morning. Well, I think that's important to know that, yes, I think the rural demand is picking up, most importantly. Consumer is spending money on different types of format. I think the larger retailers are probably attracting the consumer for the high value-added formats, as well as I think the smaller retailers, I think starting from grocery onwards to apparels, I think they are attracting consumers. The most important part is that on a per store realization basis, I think most of these companies are talking double-digit growth. And that's where I think one could possibly argue that they're giving more money in the hands of consumer is definitely resulting into higher spending power. Now, whether I think this is immediately reflecting into the kind of a buying opportunity of any of these stocks, I'm not completely sure on that aspect because most of these companies are fairly valued. In fact, I think they are comparatively valued, I think, in rich valuations, taking benchmark of demand. So frankly, I think I don't see the opportunity immediately in buying those companies because I think the valuations are already at scale level at this point of time.
Got that. Deven, morning. First off the block in terms of earnings will be, of course, IT services. I mean, it's been a pretty, except maybe one or two of the mid-cap companies like Persistent, Coforge. You can look at it, look at the data over the last many quarters. Everything else has been very small growth of 1%, 1.5%, some decline even. You think similar kind of quarter this time around as well? And any trades here in the IT space?
Hi, Prashant. Good morning. Well, I guess I think the larger IT companies are still trying to find its space in the bigger order wins that they are targeting. Current year also, I think, has started, but I don't think that immediately we are getting many signals from these from America or from other markets of the world where they've been watching out for getting the larger part of the orders. I think that's not immediately being seen. However, in the mid-tier IT companies, particularly those which are into the engineering R&D space, they continue to attract a good amount of attention because they are a B2B solution provider to most of the companies in their product programs. And that's where probably I think these companies are relatively sure of, I think, higher growth. What one is not fully convinced about is the valuation. Again, I think all the mid-tier IT companies, even though they are growing in a double-digit growth, they still do not have the kind of a valuation advantage in marketplace at this point of time. So yes, if you're invested, I think you better stay invested. But otherwise, I think the fresh buy definitely at a lower levels, I think would be more recommended in my view.
Where does fresh buying happen according to you right now? What sector looks interesting?
So I think we continue to like the manufacturing, which is connected with the high-end part of the manufacturing in supplying to, say, for example, railways, supplying to, say, for example, defense, supplying to the power and power utility businesses. That's where probably I think our conviction level remains high. Yes, I think the larger companies are fairly valued, so there is no argument on that aspect at this point of time. But some of the smaller players who are basically mid-sized to small-sized companies, which are now fitting well into the entire growth program of these particular verticals. In my report, I think they are the ones I think who are getting into the opportunity space at this point of time. So this is one area which we continue to like it. The second area, as I was mentioning, is about engineering R&D space. That's where the companies like Tata Tech in particular, or Tata Elxsi for that matter, I think they are looking at relatively more stable companies from an investment point of view. However, I think they will be reflecting higher amount of growth in this year in course of, I think, next couple of quarters, wherein some of the projects are going to start materializing into billing part of it. So we like, I think, that proposition available at a comparatively, I think, a lower values at this point of time. Similarly, I think we continue to like some of the the top level NBFCs, like some Bajaj Finance, Bajaj Housing Finance. There, the growth rate is in excess of 25%, and they are growing, I think, at a steady pace. A little bit of valuation expensive, but again, I think they are giving good visibility for next 3 to 4 years from a perspective of doubling the book size, etc.
So manufacturing plays, engineering plays, and good quality NBFCs. Those are the three places which you like right now, right?
Yes.
do you have a view on some of these real estate names? Signature Global, for instance, reported its first quarter update, 63% value growth. We've seen good performance continue for the real estate space. Do you think, we're towards the middle of the cycle right now, towards the end of the cycle? Where do you think real estate stocks and the underlying cycle is?
Yeah, I think, Mangalam, we find that I think the companies which are typically focusing on redevelopment projects are relatively better off at this point of time, because I think they know how exactly I think they're investing their money in the construction area of activity, and they can focus well on selling part of it. I think somebody who is carrying the land parcel, we are not completely sure, because I think they end up selling either the community living kind of projects, or they end up selling some of the mass housing kind of projects. We are more comfortable with real estate companies which are in the premium segment of housing. We believe that I think that's an area where probably I think you're likely to see higher amount of growth and realization, apart from getting better income on your investment that you do, that is return on equity. So we love those kind of companies more. At this point of time, maybe I think some of the new companies which are entering into the IPO market, they may be also equally a compelling proposition in the real estate space. But listed space, I think more or less companies are priced adequately at this point of time.
Okay. That's on real estate. Deven, hi, good morning. What about textile and apparel? I mean, these companies have been waiting for their time under the sun for a long time to really become huge global players, right? And who knows? I mean, the tariffs are changing every day, but we know Bangladesh is at 35%, Vietnam is at 20%. If somehow India can manage a tariff less than 20%, then this could make the sector very interesting, won't it? Do you like any players here?
So we all have, I think, good amount of expectation on this front, and I don't think that things are immediately seen happening in my view. But even if I think one is to assume that I think we would be having the advantage of tariff, do we have the large size facilities, I think, which can give equally better amount of output? I think one is not completely sure. Maybe significant amount of investment may be required in some of the units. I think that's what I gather. At this point of time, I think we as investors, I think, don't like this particular sector because it is too much vulnerable, I think, in different spaces, I think, including the one's current situation in which we are. Suppose if everything materializes, nothing like it, but it will be a 3-year story to roll out that kind of a business. We will wait for some time.
Okay. All right. So wait and watch till we have actual proof on ground and the final tariffs themselves. Got it. Thank you very much, Deven, for all the thoughts and ideas.